Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about a couple of bags that have a feature that I'm starting to find more and more important the more that I come across it. I'm of course talking about the ability for a bag to stand up on its own. This is something that I didn't used to pay quite as much attention to, but as I've started to use more bags that can do this well, I've realized how convenient it is to be able to place a bag down next to you and not have to worry about it tipping over and just having easy access to the compartments that the bag has. And there's a lot of factors that impact how well this can work. So that is going to tie into the bags that I've included in this video. The shape of the bag can have an impact, the materials, how rigid it is, and also how the weight is distributed when the bag is full or a little bit emptier. And so it can work a little bit differently across different styles of bags, and there's definitely some trade-offs to consider. As much as I love this feature, it doesn't always translate to a great experience with how the bag looks or how it wears on your back. So I don't envy the designers that have to think through some of these things. And I just wanted to share some of the bags that stand out to me when I think about backpacks that I've used, that I've just been comfortable placing down next to me. This isn't an exhaustive list. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of options that I miss, but if you're interested in something that can stand up well on its own, hopefully this is a good place to start. So really excited to dive in. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel, we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. And so first up, we have the Aer Tech Pack 3. I'm gonna move this one out of the way for now so that we can focus on this one. And Aer actually has a few different bags that do a good job of standing up well on their own, but I picked the Tech Pack because it feels like it was specifically designed to do this well. It actually has an insert that helps the bag maintain its structure and really makes it very stable for you to just be able to place it down. There's really no chance that this one is gonna tip over accidentally, which is fantastic. And it makes it very easy to take advantage of this bag as kind of a mobile workstation, which was the intention. And so you still have Aer's typical minimal design here, very stylish, great for kind of work settings. And this is the XPAC version. It's offering a couple of different fabrics. You have Aer's typical comfortable harness system, very breathable, luggage pass through, and the shape of this is really where it stands out. So the bottom here prevents it from tipping over. It's got organization on the front, so you can reach in, grab it when you place it down next to you. You can access the quick access pocket at the top, and then you have a dedicated laptop area as well, padded, suspended, and you can see everything is opened up. The bag isn't really full right now. I have my laptop in here, but as I take everything out, it doesn't fall over, which is something that not all of the bags on this list will necessarily do quite as well as this one here, which again, just has the design that is intended specifically for this use case. So something like the City Pack or the City Pack Pro, the Travel Pack 3 Small, they're all great options that can stand up on their own as well. But if you're looking for something, as far as a tech bag in Aer's lineup that's gonna do it the best, I would definitely recommend taking a look at the Tech Pack 3. Bringing back the other bag that I had here earlier, this is the Alpha 19 Evade 1.5, which is a very popular EDC bag in general. It's very, very well rounded. You have, really just great organizational layout, dual external water bottle pockets, quick access pockets on the top. On the front, you have kind of an admin section here. You have a dedicated laptop area. The bag comes in at about 25 liters. You can see here that this is a fairly bulky bag when it's fully packed out, and in the XPAC fabric that I have here, it's also a little bit more rigid, which is helpful for allowing the bag to stand up on its own. You can see it's got a wide base. This is one of the bags that's well known for offering this feature. You can just place it down next to you, access what you need from the compartments. Now, it does lean a little bit. I've noticed that it does still stand up well even when it's not quite as full, but it's not as stable as the Tech Pack 3, just with some of the bending of the fabrics that can start to happen. Also, if you maybe tighten it down with the compression straps that are offered with the bag. But in general, this one does a good job of this, again, because of the shape. And so although it's not as slim as some of the other EDC bags on the market, that's gonna be helpful. And then beyond that, you also get, of course, the legendary Alpha 19 harness, super comfortable, adjustable, and really just a ton of features in this one. And again, if you're looking for something that can stand up well on its own, this is another one of those options that's probably gonna come up a lot. The Peter McKinnon and Nomatic camera pack is probably one of a couple of different camera focused options that stands up well on its own. Many camera bags tend to have a more rigid structure. They're not always the slimmest options, and that does provide some stability, the padding that these bags can often have. And so I've really enjoyed that aspect of this backpack, even though I often don't actually use it as a camera bag. I think that the size and the functionality that it offers works well for, you know, a lot of my daily needs. And so you can place this one again down next to you. I like that the straps also almost help provide a little bit of stability. And, you know, the bag itself has, you know, very sleek style. It's got the typical Nomatic and Peter McKinnon sort of blend. So, you know, lots of weather resistance with this almost tarpaulin-like material. You have the really spacious dual external water bottle pockets. You do get that, you know, funny kind of look if you use both at the same time, but super functional. And then with the magnets, they close up when they're not in use. These bags also have a really robust harness system, very thick, well-padded straps, luggage pass-through that is also, you know, really convenient if you're using this for travel. And then you have dedicated laptop compartment, which you can access comfortably with the bag standing up. You don't have to worry about it tipping. You also have the top access to this main area. So if you're just accessing this section here, again, you can place it down, access it. You don't have to worry about it falling. The bag is empty at the moment, so you can see that it's just kind of staying up on its own, which is great to see. Again, this is one of those things that will stick out a little bit. It's a little bit bulkier, and so you'll feel that, particularly if you're using this as a personal item on a flight. This is not something that's gonna be able to collapse down, but you know, that's part of the trade-offs, and you do end up getting a bag that is very stable when you place it down. The Filson Dryden is a bag that I've revisited a lot over the past year. I really like the more classic style that it offers. It just looks great. It's got, you know, the very rugged ballistic nylon exterior, really nice zipper pulls accenting on the handle. You have a comfortable harness system, breathability there. You have a good luggage pass through. You have, you know, external water bottle pockets. So very functional, checks off a lot of the boxes for what I typically like. And one of the things that always impresses me about it is how well it stands up on its own. Again, this is another one of those that even when it's emptier, you can just place it down next to me. I don't have to worry about it tipping. This one's structure isn't as rigid, so you do have a little more flexibility than something like the Peter McKinnon Nomatic camera pack. But, you know, it'll tend to just kind of hold its shape well. That wide bottom is what helps it stand up. It doesn't tip super easily. And then, again, easy access to the front. You have a dedicated laptop compartment on the back, which you can access pretty easily. You have the gussets here to prevent it from opening up fully flat, which is really nice. So very easy to use. And you know, this is one of the reasons that I continue to come back to it. And beyond that, it's just a really solid, kind of versatile all-purpose bag that's gonna offer a nice amount of capacity and organization. The on-grid backpack from Ekster is one that I haven't talked about as much recently, but every time that I come back to it, I'm reminded of how, you know, useful of a bag it is. It's got a pretty sleek, sort of modern style. It's a little bit slimmer than some of the other options on this list that still manage to hold their structure well. So these materials are a little bit more rigid. They're also highly weather resistant. You have the very well protected zippers. You do have an external water bottle pocket, and then you have a pretty comfortable harness system here, a dedicated laptop compartment that's padded, suspended. You do have a clamshell opening to this bag as well. And because of the materials and the shape that this offers, it manages to stand up well on its own, regardless of how you're using it. So I can even open it up clamshell style. It manages to stay up. I can access the laptop area. I don't know how much you would actually be opening it like this, probably more laying down, but still, just wanted to emphasize how the rigidity of the materials here can help with that. And again, it comes in at about 20 liters, so it's still a little bit slimmer, which is nice if you're trying to strike a balance of something that is stable to place down, but doesn't feel that bulky. Then, you know, this is gonna be a really interesting option to consider. The updated edition of the Triple Aught Design Axiom Pack are really slim and functional everyday carry packs, and I've been very surprised with how consistently they manage to stand up on their own, particularly given how slim they are. So the bottom doesn't have the super wide base that some of the bags that do this well often have, so it's a slim bag, but when I place it down next to me, it tends to stand up well way more than I would have expected, just not only given the slimness, but also the materials. They're not the most rigid fabric. This is offered in wax canvas. That's the version that I have here. I also have the Ultra version, which is a little bit more rigid, so that one doesn't surprise me quite as much. But even in the wax canvas, when I place this bag down next to me, particularly when it's loaded out, it just is consistently stable. I can reach in, grab things from the various admin areas. This is one of those bags that as it's emptier, it starts to get a little bit more wobbly, but that's with me kind of pushing it over and beyond the limits of what you can expect for an empty slim bag like this. But when it's full, if you're just kind of using it, you can place it down. This is one of the best ones if you're looking for something that is a little slimmer or that has a material that's starting to be a little bit more adaptable depending on what you're carrying. If you want something that's gonna hug your back, that's not gonna stick out unless you're carrying the stuff that would push it to that level. And also if you just want something rugged that has a really great organizational layout, you have an external pocket which you can use to store a water bottle or other accessories. You have the admin section here with some good built-in organization. You have external access to the laptop sleeve from the side. You also have a clamshell style main compartment. This comes in at about 19 liters, so it's a pretty compact, sleek bag, but if that's what you're in the market for and you want something very rugged, then this is gonna be a really interesting option to keep in mind. Moving forward, we're gonna talk about some of the bags which aren't quite as consistent as far as being able to stand up on their own. These are gonna be a little bit more dependent on the fabric choice that you go with for the bag or how things are loaded out and ensuring that the weight is pretty well distributed. So not as consistent, but these are bags that I really enjoy using, and I have found that it still manages to work good enough for my purposes while managing some of those trade-offs as far as the shape of the bag and other aspects that you kind of have to think about when you're using some of the bulkier, more stable self-standing options. And so first up here I have the Goruck GR1, which is definitely material specific, I would say. In general, if they're full, a lot of their GR1s can stand up on their own decently. Recently, with the release of the Dyneema versions of the GR1, and here I have the XPAC edition, because these fabrics are a little bit more rigid, I have found that I can place them down next to me consistently. You can see here it starts to lean a little bit. So because of the material, it's staying upright, but it's just not quite as consistent. And as I start to shift things around, I could see this tipping forward. So, it still does a great job. And the GR1 is of course one of my all-time favorite bags. Particularly this XPAC edition has been really awesome with the aqua guarded zippers. Highly weather resistant. They're also very smooth working, so really great to see Goruck improving there. And then 21 liter size is just one of my favorite silhouettes of any bag. It really looks slim, but it can hold a deceptive amount. You have Goruck's really tough harness system that's going to be great for carrying a lot of weight. The dedicated laptop compartment on the back. Right now I don't have a laptop in here, and you can see it's still standing, so it does an even better job if the laptop is kind of pulling some of that weight back. You have the quick access pockets at the top, which I've absolutely loved. And then, of course, the well-known clamshell layout that is so popular on the GR1s. With this edition, you have this nice yellow interior, so great to see that. And this is a bag I talk about all the time on the channel. Absolutely love it. And if you're looking for something that can stand up on its own and you're able to get one of the more rigid fabrics for it, or even one of the newer 1000Ds that is very rigid when you get it out of the box, it can do a good enough job for most situations. Another one of my all-time favorite bags is the Evergoods CTB26, and both with the CTB and the CPL lines from Evergoods, I've noticed that they can do a pretty good job of standing up while on their own when they're loaded out. It works a little more inconsistently as the weight starts to shift. Here I have the 420D nylon version of the CTB, which is a little less rigid, so this can tend to collapse on the items that are on the inside, which I like. I think that that's really helpful, particularly if I'm using this more as an EDC bag and I don't want it to stick out as much. And here you can see it's not fully loaded out, but I've been able to place this down next to me consistently, which is really important with a bag like this because I'm accessing the quick access pocket on the front, I'm accessing the quick access pocket at the top, and I can do so without having to worry about the bag tipping over too easily. You have the external water bottle pockets, which are oriented so that you can just reach down and grab it, and I can even access the laptop compartment on the side without having to worry about it tipping over too easily. So just one more kind of additional plus for this bag that I'm such a big fan of. It's also offered in the 35-liter size. It's offered in the 20-liter size, and it's kind of the same experience where, it can stand up on its own. You just have to make sure that it's loaded out, and if you're looking for one of the most, well-rounded, full-featured bags on the market with a really cool kind of subdued aesthetic, then the CTB is always going to be one of my top recommendations. Pioneer Carry is one of the newer entrants into the backpack category, and I was really impressed with their first lineup of bags. There's a couple of different options. The one that stood out the most to me is the Panda pack. I've talked about this one a couple of times on the channel. I used this for a trip overseas as my personal item, and I was really impressed with how functional the layout of this bag is. You have really great quick access pockets on the front. I like that they have plenty of dimension to make it easy to grab whatever you need. You have nice pocketing on the sides with zippers that can hold whatever you need. You can also put a water bottle in here if you don't zip it all the way up. You have a pretty comfortable harness system, a luggage pass-through, and one of the cool aspects about these bags is that they are intended to be self-standing. Now the materials here with the nylon that they use, which is very premium, it's a super nice feeling nylon. It's not as rigid as some bags, but because of the way that the bag is designed, even if it's not all the way packed out, it still does a good job of standing up on its own. I can place this down, not have to worry. You can see I'm not even being super gentle with it. Can bump it around a little bit, and the front compartments are empty at the moment. I do have stuff in the main area, so if the bag is completely empty, it works a little bit less consistently. It can tend to sag, but that's not really the intended use case. So when it's filled out, even with a moderate amount of items, the way that it's designed and kind of holds itself up has been really impressive. And then beyond that, you just get a really kind of like nice modern looking bag. I always get Toomey vibes from this one in particular. You have a little luggage tag for travel. And so, this is in a little bit more of a premium, category, but if you have the budget for it and you're looking for something stylish for work travel that is gonna, offer that functional layout and be able to stand up consistently on its own, this is definitely gonna be a really interesting option to check out. The 511 Rush 12 has been a really popular EDC option for a long time now. It's got a more tactical aesthetic. You can see there's a lot of webbing along the exterior, the front, the sides. I really like the tactical vibe of this backpack. You have compression straps, comfortable harness system, good pocket layout. You have some quick access pockets, kind of an admin area here. Quick access on the front, at the top for your sunglasses with a soft lining. And this is one of those bags that if it's packed out, it is definitely going to stand up pretty well on its own because of the kind of rigidity of the nylon fabric that's used here. Now it does collapse into itself, and you do have the ability to compress it down with the external strap. So in that case, it starts to wobble a little bit if there's nothing in the bag. But I've found that once I put a little bit of weight, particularly on the bottom, and this is expanded out a bit, this bag, you can place it down next to you and use it consistently without having to worry about it falling over too often. So that's been great to see. And then if you need to have additional access to the main area, or you want to get into the padded laptop sleeve that's on the inside, you can of course open it up clamshell style at 24 liters. This is also just a really versatile size. I like that because it's not that rigid, it doesn't have to look that bulky if you're not filling it out all the way, but then you do have some extra capacity for longer days, minimal travel, and things like that. And so if you're looking for a really rugged bag with a tactical aesthetic that's also gonna be a little bit more budget friendly, then this is gonna be one of the best options to consider. And so that's it. Those are some of the bags that I think do a pretty good job of standing up well on their own. Hopefully this video was helpful. As I mentioned earlier, this definitely isn't an exhaustive list. I'm sure there's some great options that I didn't include on the list or that I haven't had a chance to check out yet. So if there are bags that you've particularly enjoyed using and that stand up well on their own, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I'll make sure to include links in the description below to the dedicated reviews that I've done for the bags that I talked about in this video, as well as to some of the other roundup videos that I've done where I shared my favorite new tech and EDC backpacks from last year, some of the Hall of Fame bags that have been around for a while, which I think are great to check out. I'll also include a link to some of my favorite minimal travel bags, favorite one bag travel options. And if you have ideas for other roundup videos that you'd like to see, if there's any particular feature specific videos like this one that you think would be interesting, definitely let me know about those as well. And I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.